y'all, it's Crafty Hope here, and today I think we're gonna make some jewelry with some Dollar Tree rub-on transfers. How about that? So I have two sets of this one because some of the Dollar Tree rub-ons don't have pairs of things. So I found that if you just pick up two of them, then you have pairs for earrings. And I'm gonna use a 10, not this one. I'm just showing you that what I'm using is the bottom of a 10 where it doesn't have any other design on it. I have found that's a great way for me to use a lot of one of these tins and not have a lot of waste. So I mean, of course I could put this in the recycling probably, but it's easy enough to tear these apart. I have a tutorial on how I tear apart tins. I'll put it right up there. But I thought I'd show you how I make these earrings. These may not work out. You may not see this video, but we're gonna try. So, and hopefully there's not too much glare. So I've just got a little piece of this tin, and I've got my rub-on transfers. I already cut one out of this one. That's how I found it's best to use rub-ons. Otherwise, you may get pieces of other ones, or things may stick to other things. And I'm also going to use some stencils. These are just little templates that I have created, and most of them I cut out on my vinyl cutter. This one is you see that is just a regular stencil from somewhere. And this one actually I created by drawing things on here and then using my craft knife to cut them out. So you can always just draw a shape you make and trace around it instead of making a stencil, however you want to do it, or you can freehand it, just cut it however you want it. So I have all of these. I think I actually decided, looking at these, that I want to maybe just use a circle for this one. It's hard to tell with when they're see-through like this. It's like why I like using the cardstock to make my stencils, is because it helps mask some of that other stuff. All right, so I'm gonna get started, and I'm gonna probably talk you through the rest of this on a voiceover. So I've also sped this up a little, but I'm showing you I just cut out the shape that I want from the rub-on. Like I said, it just helps with the positioning and all of that. Now the first thing I'm going to do with my piece of metal there is to take a, what do you call it? It's a 3M scrubber that you can get at the grocery store, just like that. I've cut it in half, and I'm just using it to rough up the metal. Make sure you clean that metal, but the roughing up gives it just some better surface to adhere these rub-ons, so it's not so slick. So I'm just going to stick my rub-on down, and I've got a bone folder there that I will rub across my rub-on. You could use a popsicle stick or the back of your scissors or anything like that to get your rub-on down. And I'm going to show you both of them just for, So I'm doing it thoroughly, and I'm going to slowly peel this up, making sure that all of that rub-on has stuck on, just like that. And I'm going to repeat that process again. Now, if you make sure, I'm checking my circles real quick to make sure it will indeed fit inside that circle that I have picked out. I have other stencils I could have used. You could freehand this because my cuts, I'll tell you, are not ever really perfect. Now I'm checking with my stencil to make sure that I don't overlap these too much when I cut them out. So because I want to make sure those circles aren't going to cut into each other. So I'm rubbing the second one again, making sure it is thoroughly down, and then slowly peeling it up. And if it's not, there was a little bit that wasn't rubbed on, I put that back down and rubbed it a little and then peel it up. All right, so I've grabbed a ultra fine tip Sharpie there, and I'm getting my stencil position just how I want it on the metal. If you wanted, you could use a piece of like washi tape or something to tape that in place so it doesn't shift while you're doing this, but you're just going to draw that or trace that circle right around your rub-on, just like so. And then do it again for your other one, because you're going to have two. Now, if you wanted to do two different shapes and make these mismatched earrings, that could be so much fun. And you don't have to get those packs of rub-ons. Everything kind of correlates. So if you just wanted to use one pack of rub-ons and have everything mismatched, that works too.
So I'm showing y'all my tin snips there. These are from Bassu's Boutique. They are my favorite tin snips. But of course, you can buy tin snips at any kind of hardware store. They're going to be a little bit bigger and bulkier. I just prefer these for my fine detail cutting. For some of my bigger strips and things that are bulkier, I will use those hardware store ones. But I'll put a link to these tin snips below for you. So, being careful and taking your time, wear gloves if you are unsure of yourself. I should probably be wearing them here. Um, Cut your circles. Just be very careful. That tin can cut you. I have cut myself on it many times. So, take your time. Be mindful of your rub on so that you don't scratch it as you're in the process of doing this because you haven't sealed anything yet. Now, once it's cut, I'm going to go ahead and sand the edges. Yeah. So actually, no, the first thing I'm going to do is take a little bit of, this is just ice rubbing alcohol, and I'm getting that Sharpie off the edges. Anywhere that Sharpie is showing, I'm cleaning that off because, yeah, once we do some of these other things. Now, the sanding will take some of that off, but I'd rather just take it off. And I'm going to use a series of sanding blocks and that 3M scrubber to sand the edges, to get them smoother and make sure there are no burrs or anything that's going to cut anyone. Just get it. And y'all, I recommend some steel wool is great for a finishing one. It makes it like butter. Now I do sand up the back as well, just so that the metal on it matches the front. I don't know what I was doing that was making me stop, but just sand that. I'm sorry for the camera and table shake there. And then I'm using some metal punches or a metal punch. It's like a hole punch for metal. This is a 1.5 millimeter one. And I'm just trying to get the center of my flower. And I've got my little trash can there that I'm punching that into. And I do take just a second to line up both of my circles here so that I can take that Sharpie again and mark where the hole is in one of them. And that's more for like to make sure that it's the same distance down from the top, not like that it's centered, because I want them to hang fairly evenly. And then I am going to, y'all, I'd like to take just a little bit of a hammer and pound where that hole is punched to make sure it is also smooth and not poking. It's just a thing. Now for the fun part, we're going to do a little bit of sealing of this because again, that's just a rub on and it can scratch right off. So I'm using UV resin. You can use all kinds of other things. I've just really had a kick for the UV resin lately, but you could probably use glossy accents or diamond glaze. I'll show you some diamond glaze later, or any number of other sealers that would probably work on this. I just like the UV resin. It feels like, oh, you could use any other kind of resin. It doesn't have to be UV resin. You could use, yeah, one of the epoxy resins that you mix or whatever. I've just been on a real kick with this lately because it's kind of an instant gratification kind of thing. So you can see I put a good little dollop on both of my circles there, and I'm using just a plastic craft horrible paintbrush that I wouldn't use for anything else to spread out that resin. And I'm taking my time with it, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I think I only did one layer of resin on this because it doesn't need much. I'm just trying to seal that. If you wanted it to have more dimension to it, add several layers. Add a layer, cure it, and add another layer and cure it, and just do that. But I'm just yeah, I think I just did one layer. And you can see when I'm spreading this out, I'm avoiding the hole that I punched at the top, just kind of lightly going around it. So once I get that all spread out, I'm going to grab my UV lamp. So I have a special lamp. You could also use, I think they sell like UV flashlights and things like that. And it doesn't take real long for this to cure, 30 seconds or so. But if it doesn't cure after your 30 seconds, just add another 30. Keep moving it in there until it is cured the way you want. See, I'm doing a couple little touches, and then I'll turn my UV light on and leave it. And once it's done, I'll take it out and make sure it is cured. Like I said, if I needed more time, I would put it back in there. All right, So once that is all done, we're going to move to the next part, which is assembling this. Now to top this, I created a couple of these, which are just more circles that I cut and altered with some paint and things, and then used E6000 to glue some post earrings. Now here I'm showing you I did another rub on here on some darker tin and sealed it with diamond glaze, and that works just fine, y'all. So there are plenty of options for doing this. Now to finish these, like I said, I've got the post backs on those other ones. I have just got some oval jump rings. I prefer the oval jump rings when working with tin because the slit on them is on the long side, which means it won't be on the tin where the tin can slip through that jump ring. And just like round jump rings with oval ones, you twist them open. You're not going to pull them open. You twist them open, twist them closed. So I'll show you that one more time when I can pick it up and show it to you. So it's an oval jump ring, and I'm using a pair of or chain nose pliers and bent nose pliers, and I will slip it on one side and then make sure they're facing the same direction when you do this, and then twist it closed. And these earrings are done. They are so simple. Use inexpensive materials. I think the biggest cost is probably that UV light, but it comes in handy. But if you have some diamond glaze or glossy accents, you don't even have to use the resin part of it. All right, y'all, please let me know if you have any questions about this process at all. If you need any information, if you like this, give me a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and come back later and see what else I've got going on. Thanks for watching. Bye.